Welcome to a new show. I'm Tim Kalinowski. This is my co-host, Charlie DiSturco. I'm Boston, he's New York, but together we are Gamblin and Ramblin. Look, this is the kids' table of the Action Network, right? Everyone likes to be serious. Everyone likes to give trends and this, and here's why you have to bet this game. Here's why all the numbers align. We are lucky enough to work for a sports betting media company, but we also like to hang out, be stupid, bet stupid things for stupid reasons. So here we are, Charlie and I, to discuss all things gambling from the weekend, rant and rave, usually a lot more pissed off than excited, and at least on my end. But make sure you follow us on the Action app, Action YouTube, and make sure you look out for us, Action Network HQ on TikTok and Twitter. Charlie, you're kind of the bad kind of New York, Jets, Mets, and I like to say I'm the good part of Boston because, well, yeah, at least I'm mature enough to say that what we saw on Sunday between our two teams, I still don't think my team's very good. So I really can't really dance on your grave here.
It's just a mess at this point. I don't even bet on the Jets at this point because it's just Zach Wilson. You can't make enough excuses right now. He's just not good. Throwing off his back heel. He makes the decisions. I saw a tweet on Twitter. He's as if Patrick Mahomes plays the game blackout drunk. And I couldn't have found a more accurate description of how Zach Wilson plays. He tries to escape the pocket, even in a clean pocket, and runs around, makes these sidearm throws, trying to juke defenders. And he's not Patrick Mahomes, and he's probably the worst quarterback in the NFL, at least from a decision-making standpoint. So not excited to see how the rest of the season goes. And against Buffalo, not going to be great.
Yeah, the fact that I thought the show was going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi when Mac Jones threw that interception that was called back for the roughing the passer. Bullshit. I thought the story would be those two quarterbacks, but your guy, man, Zach Wilson, he knows how to steal the show.
He's not, he is just a mess. I don't even want to talk about him anymore. Let's just put this aside because at this point, like, I'm watching and I'm screaming for Mike White and Strevler to come on the screen. Like, it's at that point. Like, I don't want to see Zach Wilson on my TV anymore. Get him on the sidelines, get him off. I want to see Garrett Wilson go off, and he can't get him the ball half the time. So I just don't want him. If he can't even throw the ball out of bounds, he throws the ball to the other team. It's like he can't see colors. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, as we did have a bit of a head-to-head on Sunday, one thing that we're completely aligned on is that we both have tickets on the Philadelphia Phillies to win the World Series. Large futures. I got them, I think, before the season even started. You as well, huge long shot. So I got to start with my weekend confessional. And I know we were going back and forth. You were texting me about it, but I did indeed hedge my Phillies 33-1 to win the World Series. I bet this thing the old-fashioned way. So there was no cash out option here. So I had to hedge appropriately. And so it's about like 40 to win over 1,000. So I hedged out for 300. So it's either win 1,000 or win 300. And so for me, that's good enough. When you live in your parents' attic, as you can see here, that's good enough for me.
You got to have living with your parents and gardener in your resume right now because you're hedging out here. I have a quarter unit on plus 4,000 and a quarter of unit on 45-1. So about 50 for, I want to say, like $2,000, and I'm letting it ride, at least right now. Maybe we'll see after game 3 or 4, but listen, I came here this far and it's just like loose change at this point. I'm going to play with what I got, and I can't take the Astros. I looked at them at plus money, plus 100 right before game 2, but I trusted Wheeler, and I'm going to trust them here. It's a team of destiny at this point. I'm backing the whole destiny narrative. I'm backing the whole David versus Goliath. I am a huge fan of David. That's my confirmation name too. So we're just playing with the whole team of destiny aspect. Yeah, we're going with the Phillies. I'm not hedging out right now, so I'm going to let it ride.
Mind you, it is the most Italian thing in the entire world to mention your confession, your confirmation name.
That's what you get, authentic out here, authentic.
That is the most Italian thing I've ever heard in my life. But look, I think what did kind of suck is it snuck up on me. Like so it's like, oh, if the Phillies win game 1, that way I can hedge. And then it's like, oh, well, you only have like 24 hours to make that decision. I would have preferred to sit on that a little longer. I was out to dinner when you texted me. You're like, hey, did you hedge? And I just made sure, like I just done it. And I'm like, thank God you said something, because I might have forgotten. It was, thank God it was in my head, because
It's the
that's what I don't like.
telepathy.
You're gonna miss that window. You know what I mean? Like it's as like you said with that Sunday parlay ticket that we saw with the 2 touchdowns, you have to make that decision pretty quick if you're going to hedge or not.
Right. And I mean, very, very quickly before we move on to that, because I really want to talk about that in particular. Astros right now, -170. So you did get a good number, -170 to win the World Series right now. Phillies +145. The game was rained out last night, so we didn't really get an updated standings on stuff. So I'm going to continue to let it ride here. I'm not going to bet this game, maybe a couple of player props. I saw you put some in the action app, but I'm going to let that ride, tied at 1 apiece. But let's talk about this touchdown parlay, right? 4 legs, 2+ touchdowns per player. This guy, he does it the right way. You take 3 in the 1 o'clock slate and you leave 1 for the 4 p.m., 4:25 games. Jalen Waddle, Alvin Kamara, and AJ Brown get home. And the last guy to take this parlay, $10 for over 25 grand, is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had scored 2+ touchdowns in 3 straight against the Houston Texans. The Texans defense is abysmal. It was a lock. Malik Willis is at quarterback. I mean, he can't throw the football more than like 10 yards downfield. Maybe he scores a touchdown with his legs. But when you look at it, and this guy ended up cashing out for like a little over $2,000. Tim, I mean, you have some reasoning behind it because you're the gardener, you're the hedger, but like it's a burrito, it's a Chipotle burrito, a $10 bet to win 25,000. That probably pays for your rent for the entire year, if not maybe a year and a half. And it's Derrick Henry. It's arguably one of the greatest touchdown scorers against one of the worst defenses in the NFL this year. And it's a $10 bet. I was in a similar spot last year at my touchdown parlay. I didn't cash out. Max Williams took me home. I know bettors have been in this spot so many times, maybe chasing on an NFL Sunday. I'm always anti-hedging unless it's a different scenario, like that 17-leg parlay we saw with the Mixon rushing yards. But it's a Chipotle burrito here. What are we talking about? Maybe don't eat lunch for a Tuesday afternoon and let this bet ride.
Well, here's why you're wrong, because what you said is they did it the right way. 3 o'clock or 3 1 o'clock games and then 1 for the later slate. The whole point of you saying that is because of hedging. That you let off with why you do it.
But then you get to watch the 4 o'clock slate. You put that on the TV. When I did my 7 legs, I had 6 in the 1 o'clock and Max Williams and the Arizona Cardinals on that main TV. And I was rooting on that tight end. And he took it home for me. It was nothing more electric than watching one guy score rather than having like 8 guys at once go. That's just my opinion.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of just, I make a parlay so that I say, how can I hedge this? Like, am I going to be in a spot to hedge? And I thought that you covered that, but I guess not. And on the subject of the NFL, we'll introduce a segment here that we'll do a team that's dead to us, a team that you cannot stand to look at for a second longer. Maybe you can't stop betting them. For me, I mean, I'll go second. I'll let you lead off. Who's dead to you?
Dude, I knew that this was a bad bet coming into Sunday, and I still took it. Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. Betting on Cliff Kingsbury is just a fire in and of itself. It's a disaster from the start. But I was like, okay, Minnesota, they're winning all these coin flip games. I think Arizona is going to keep it close, maybe lose by a field goal, right? I overlooked the fact, and I even tweeted about this, and I was like, it's always just a joke at this point. The new Call of Duty comes out, and Kyler Murray, of course, he's probably not studying his film, and he's not putting 100% in practice because he's up late trying to drop with the boys in Warzone and whatnot. Like, he wants to play Call of Duty. And I bet him, plus 3.5. And I was like, okay, whatever. DeAndre Hopkins saves me with that one-handed touchdown grab, puts me in a position to win as the Arizona Cardinals come back late.
Sick catch, by the way. Sick catch.
Yes, unbelievable catch. And then when you're down and you're getting the ball back, Greg Dortch muffs the punt and gives them the ball. The Vikings in the ball inside Cardinals territory. They go down and score, of course, because I bet on them. And I had just salt in the wound, rubbing it in. Kyler Murray gets sacked twice to end it, no timeouts. They're dead to me. Cliff Kingsbury, you're dead to me. I can't even fathom how I bet money on you again after like the last 2 years of you ruining my life. But I'm not betting on them. I'm going to fade them. And I should have known better when Call of Duty was dropping to not bet on Kyler Murray.
I was also on them as well, but for me, I guess it didn't really hit home as much. I mean, I just knew how stupid I was, right? Like I was just like waiting for like when I saw the muff punt, I'm like, oh, of course they muffed the punt. They're the Cardinals.
Yeah,
Like
I mean that's how I
should have
was
known
with the
that.
Lions, right? Like I knew the Lions were a bad defense, so when they go up like a decent amount at home against Miami, I was expecting that. So like that one I wasn't angry about, but like Call of Duty coming out, Cliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray, it was just a perfect disaster.
Yeah, I think what we're getting at is sometimes you know that it's so stupid and like you know all the ways it could go wrong and then it goes wrong all those ways. It's something that I did not foresee coming going wrong this way was the team that's dead to me, the Las Vegas Raiders. I have had enough of the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't tell if they're good. I can't tell if they're bad. I thought the whole, starting out so poorly would be okay. Now they kind of can see that they can turn it around. Denver's atrocious. The Chargers obviously are banged up. So I thought the Raiders would kind of smell blood. And I knew the line, like I knew it was kind of stupid. And so the Raiders are dead to me. What an absolute no-show. How do you completely no-show with your back against the wall? And like, look, like we said, I should have known better. But the point is, last week I was dumb enough to tweet out, who should I take in Survivor? Patriots or the Bucks? Like so stupid. I've been such a quiet snake in the grass, just humming through Survivor. Everyone's talking about how bad I've been so good in Survivor. And finally I took it to Twitter, which I knew I shouldn't have done. And people, and obviously both are wrong, but I had one friend reply, Raiders. And I was like, damn, that's a good idea. And I didn't do it. And then, so this week I was like the zigzag. I went all in on the Raiders. I didn't have them in Survivor, one of my leagues. I'm still alive, but I didn't have them. And it's like, oh, I got the bad Raiders this week. And it's
yeah. I mean, at least it was over from the start for you. Like, at least
yes,
like
yeah,
it was, I mean, it was a blowout from the start. The thing I was pissed about, and I'm kind of pissed with you a little bit on this one, like Devontae Adams, where were you? I lost a fantasy matchup because you just didn't show up. I mean, you're facing, like, I understand like the Saints defensive backs are like decent, but like, I mean, you're a top 5 receiver and you're going to do nothing. And you might as well have put up a goose egg. Like, it was just a mess. I'm never betting the Raiders either. They were already on my like no bet list. I probably will never go back to them, maybe in a divisional game, but like, I just can't right now.
Well, I can't, I mean, obviously I can't, I also can't blame myself because like, I'm not really capable of doing that. So it's the Raiders' fault.
Yeah.
Charlie, your Sunday sweetheart, who made it worthwhile for you?
Yeah. Oh man. Robert Tunyon, man. I wrote up a same game parlay on Sunday Night Football on the Action Network website and the Action Network app. My 3-leg parlay, Stephon Diggs over receiving yards, cash. AJ Dillon over rushing yards, cash. Last leg, Robert Tunyon, right? First off, his touchdown. I also bet him to score a touchdown on the side.
Also, imagine part of your job being to write up parlays. I mean, it must be nice.
Yeah, it's you got some positives sometimes, but Robert Tunyon scoring a touchdown. The defensive back has to get in the gym. It wasn't an offensive PI or any other penalty. He just beat him because he was way bigger and stronger. Touchdown called back. So Tunyon enters the fourth quarter with 6 receiving yards. And when like it's Sunday night, so you've been watching football all day, right? And I have a girlfriend. She wants attention. She wants to watch a movie. We're watching Hocus Pocus 2. I lost the screen battle. I'm sure anyone in a relationship has lost the screen battle before, where it's a Sunday night. You've been watching football all day. She's sick and tired of it. She wants to watch her thing. So we're sitting there, like I'm laying down like this, like watching the Packers like game on my phone in the fourth quarter as Hocus Pocus 2 is playing on my legs. And Robert Tunyon, man, God bless him. Fourth quarter, the final 2 drives, catches 3 balls, gets me over my receiving yards at 27.5. Put up, I don't know, I think he was in the 30s by the end of it. But from 6 yards to hitting the over, hitting the same game parlay, I mean, he's a sweetheart. I love him. I always do. And I'm probably going to go back to him just because I love him so much. And on the topic of garbage time, Joe Mixon last night, just icing on the cake with the garbage time receiving yards for me. I mean, it's been a good couple of days in the garbage time department for DiSturco.
Rarely do you save the relationship and the like bankroll with the bailout parlay. Like rarely does it all work out that way. And you just kind of do the like, right, like that fist bump is so great because you're like, I made it all work. Like I'm actually a dynamic character human who can keep a relationship, and I'm also absolutely sick, nasty handicapper. Like,
yeah, and a degenerate.
Yeah, and then it's like, but it's all worth it. It's like it's like validates. It's like I'm actually sick at all this.
Yeah, the little fist bump right after you hit the bat, and like I hopped on Twitter and like had to send out my victory lap tweet to just throw the icing on the cake. It was a great Sunday night.
No, I agree. And so I'll just go with that, my Sunday sweetheart, the Washington Commanders, man. Taylor Heineke, what an absolute crime it is that they would think that Carson Wentz is an upgrade over Taylor Heineke. Like, absolutely criminal. This guy's so good and he doesn't quit. He actually, I've always said, like, their receivers are pretty good. They have a pretty good receiving core. And I would kiss Taylor Heineke if I could. I absolutely love this guy because I had Washington when they lost on the 1 yard line to Tennessee like 2 weeks ago. And I put out my like one-liners. I tweet out, I said, dead to me. I cannot stand this team. And it's like, they completely did the like the Undertaker gift. Like, once Taylor Heineke was back, I was like, oh, I'm back. I'm all in. I even like was still so afraid though to even admit that I was back on the Commanders after burning me that way. Like, I had to like make up on TikTok that Elmo and Cookie Monster gave me the bet because I was too afraid to even like mouth the words, I'm back on the Commanders. Like, I was like, it's on them. It's on them. Like, talking to stuffed animals, living with my parents. Like, that's really cool. That's really
dude.
cool.
It sounds like an amazing like week. I mean, you're just chilling with the boys. Like, that's all it is. I tease them, so I was happy too with you. But I like Terry McLaurin. What a catch right by the 1 yard line, and I love the fact that Taylor Heineke QB sneaked it rather than Carson Wentz, who's throwing it 3 times and throwing the interception at the goal line. But Terry McLaurin was the best thing to take away from me was, I mean, screaming out like the indie boys screaming out, "This is my effing city!" Like, I loved it. I was happy for you when I saw that the Commanders came through. I teased them up, so Riverboat Ron makes me a little hesitant at times, but I had to fade Sam Ehlinger in his first start.
Yeah, we have Sam Ehlinger. I mean, like, the whole thing is like, it's a third string quarterback. Like, this should be. I mean, he's not actually, he's basically like a fifth string quarterback. I mean, Sam Ehlinger shouldn't be starting NFL games. So it seemed like just so not one time did I not think that they weren't going to come back on that like backdoor to win. It was incredible. But we also had quite the Saturday as well, as I was seeing you on Twitter. You had the big old balls, Penn State first half money line bet. In this segment, it's called Only Me, because in my friend group, we have this thing. I have this buddy who just all he does is bitch and bitch and bitch about his losses. And he always says, only me. This only happens to me. Granted, the guy's actually a pretty good gambler. So tell me what happened on Saturday. You had an amazing start and only me.
Yeah. Oh man. I first off, the whole, it's like 11:45. You need to place a couple of bets to get some action in the 12 o'clock slate. Yeah. That's what I did with Penn State. I looked at the line. I was like, I saw Stuckey, one of our colleagues, put in the bet on Penn State first half 9.5. And I was like, I love the spot. Ohio State, Penn State, in Penn State. I'm going to take them plus 9.5. And then I was like, you know what? I was down a little bit from soccer, which they ended up scoring a late goal to make me positive. But I'm like, I'm going to take their money line too. They're going to come out hot. And they didn't. And then they ended up, scoring those 2 touchdowns later. The defense was incredible. Held them to field goal after field goal. 14-13, Ohio State completes what was it? They went on 3rd down. They went on 4th down. They were getting big plays. They completed that big 4th down play to then put them inside the 10-yard line. And no timeouts left. Penn State sack. I was, oh man, we are, baby. I mean, 350 money line. It's the only
scenario that was going to work. The only scenario.
Literally, there was like 4 seconds left by the end of it. It was incredible. I was having a great time. Go to lunch, right? I'm at lunch. I have West Virginia plus 7.5. And this is where I don't care that I'm up like 10 units on a Saturday. I don't care if I was having a great day. I don't care that Penn State went home for me. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, okay, West Virginia scores with 4 minutes left. I'm good. TCU's not going to go down and score the football. They're going to take the time off the clock. They're going to get under 2 minutes and they're going to kneel it out. 4th down and 1 inside West Virginia territory. And they call a 4th and 1 shotgun one-on-one deep ball to the end zone. The West Virginia jumped off sides. Lay down on the floor, Max Duggan. What are you doing? Lay down the floor. You win the game. You kneel it out. No, Sonny Dykes is like, I can't fathom Sonny Dykes right now. This is the 3rd week in a row that he's screwed me. I had the under against Oklahoma State. TCU scores 14 in the 4th. And then Oklahoma State, of course, in overtime, makes a 4th and 9 conversion, scores a touchdown. I lose the under in that bet. Next week, Kansas State, plus 3.5. They're up 28-10. TCU scores 28 unanswered. They win by 10. I had plus 3.5. lost. This week, I'm like, you know what? I hate Sonny Dykes. I hate the Horned Frogs. West Virginia plus 7.5. Touchdown in 26 seconds left in a one-on-one deep ball. They go up 10. Obviously, West Virginia is not going to score. I lose that bet. I don't care what the line is right now. I see it's like 9.5. I'm nuking Texas Tech because this is now a vendetta for me and Sonny Dykes. I'm coming for Sonny Dykes. I'm done with him. He's going to lose the Big 12 championship if he even gets there. I'm all in on the Red Raiders this week. Sonny Dykes, like, of course, only I will have a plus 10 unit day. It ruined my Saturday night. I didn't go out. I went home. I had to go back. I was watching the game in the bathroom because I was at the lunch. I was like, I can't not stream the game. So I went to the bathroom, excused myself, standing at the urinal watching as they call Max Duggan a one-on-one deep ball. I lose my bet, have to come out like nothing's happened. It's personal now because I had to go back to lunch like nothing happened, then go home. And I just soaked in my room and had to do work. And it was an awful end to my Saturday. I don't care how I did.
I know that exact feeling when you have to come back in like stone cold and be like, because also too, it's not even like, I actually like had TCU, but then they lost in the last minute. Like explaining that to someone just makes you sound like such a crazy degenerate that you're watching something in a bathroom for the garbage time touchdown. Like, you can't really explain that to someone without them thinking you're a freak.
And I was out to lunch with like someone that doesn't really understand all of football, let alone like gambling, right? Like he's off the boat from Italy. Like he doesn't understand different football for him. He didn't understand. I was not going to explain it to him and be like, well, technically they were losing and they were going to lose no matter what. But then I had a plus 7.5. So then they scored a touchdown and now it's 10. And it was just a mess. I gave up. I had to come out stone cold summer, finish my chicken parm sandwich and left.
Yeah. I have a thing with my girlfriend where I just go, that was really important. And she's like, oh, okay. Like she gets it. Oh, all right. And I'm like, she's like, but that was really important.
Yeah. So, I guess my girlfriend gives me a cooling time. She's like 5-10 minutes, be angry. But then after that, like, don't do it. And I was like, fine, that's fair. I can get out my, like, I hate Sonny Dykes. And then I lit it out in the bathroom. Hopefully no one was in there taking a dump or anything.
Well, I had TCU as well, or excuse me, West Virginia. And that still wasn't the worst beat that I had. The worst, like I went through a span of like 5 minutes going back, 10 screens in my living room, just sweating on all these bets. And it wasn't college kickers that screwed me. It was the decision-making to either kick, go for two. Now, listen to this. All right. Georgia Tech plus 24 playing Florida State. Florida State's blowing the doors off of them. Georgia Tech is down and they make it within 25, right? So they basically 0 time on the clock. They score. They just have to kick the extra point for a push. I would do anything for a push. You know how bad it is when you're like, I'll do anything for a push at this point. I don't even care. So I'm like, wait a minute. Are they not kicking the point after? What's going on here? The ref opens the mic up and goes, the Georgia Tech does not have to kick the extra point. And I'm like, wait, what? What is this? And then the announcers go, and since the game is already out of hand and this doesn't matter, they don't have to kick the extra point. I go, are you kidding me? What do you mean it doesn't matter? What do you mean it doesn't matter? Also, how do you show up to call a game and don't just look at the point spread? These guys that call the games, like, oh, you do every single stupid note. Every kid whose grandmother this, where I grew up that. Look at the damn line. Look at the damn line. Because it's 24 points. What do you think you're calling? What do you think you're calling? Michigan, Ohio State? Look at the damn spread. Can't stand it. And the same thing basically happened to me with South Florida plus 14.5 against Houston. South Florida, they basically are going to backdoor the 14.5 and they go for 2 and they don't get it. So they lose by 15. A minute left. Why are we going for 2? Why are we going for 2? That's so dumb. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even make sense. It makes, I get it. Go for 2 when you're down, whatever. There's a minute left. What are we doing? What are we doing? Doesn't matter. So these stupid teams at the field goal kick, it's not even the kickers. So I know I'm going to get screwed by the kickers eventually because it just all comes around. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't use up a quota of getting screwed by coaches not kicking.
Yeah. To just go back, I've had like similar. Remember the game with the Chicago Bears last year? Or was it 2 years ago? The MVP Mitch Trubisky. I think it's 2 years ago. Yeah, they score at the end and they don't get the extra point because it was at the end of regulation. And I was on I was on them and I'm screaming at the TV like, are we not gonna like go for it, or like even if it didn't matter, go for it, or like take the extra point? Like maybe I can get a put. Like I've been there, done that. It is the most excruciating thing. I've never actually heard of the since the game doesn't matter, we're not kicking. I've never been.
They literally said that, and I'm like, what in the actual world are you talking about? Like,
I would clip that off and like send it to the rev and just like send him like hate mail. Not
Oh,
actually,
no.
but like I mean that's ridiculous. Like
The more I've
in terms
talked
of,
about it, yeah, it's just
yeah, you think head coaches don't know what the spread is? They definitely know what the spread is. At least head coaches do. They're like, oh, we're big underdogs, and of course you're big underdogs. Like in this scenario, at least put up some
Kiffin.
points. Give your kicker some like confidence. Like, all right,
So
like
dumb.
good job,
So
buddy.
dumb.
Like take
And
the
also
extra
too,
point.
isn't it a rep? Isn't it extra reps?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like it's so dumb. It's so dumb. That's all I have. It feels good to get that out. I think we did well for a first show. What do you think?
Dude, I feel great. I'm so excited for this. I mean, I'm sure that everyone's going to be lining up at the door to get a seat at the kids' table because no one else is loving and yelling at the screen here. Everyone else is at the big adults table trying to talk about why they like a certain side. We're just, firing away and able to just curse the name of Sonny Dykes.
Yeah. I'm Timmy Cal 12 on Twitter, T Kalinowski 12 in the Action app. Not sure if you even want to tell that. Probably just dreadful for you. Charlie, plug yourself and then we'll be done.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and the Action app at Charlie DiSturco. All my picks are there. For the most part, I would say that I bet with a smart head, but there's always one of those games or two, like this Texas Tech one, where I'm just gonna do it because I have a vendetta. But that's where you can find me.
Kids table, great job for the first one. Gamblin and Ramblin. I'm Tim Kalinowski. That's Charlie DiSturco. That's a wrap.